Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. It's December 31st at time of recording, Christmas has been and gone and I'm still getting through the last of the Christmas ham. By the time you're listening to this it will be 2024, and so for a new year I'd like to wish you all the very best. So with 2023 in the rearview mirror, it's probably a good time for me to do my first State of the Channel thing, especially since I'm coming to you with some news. Before I begin with that though, I'd like to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing and liking the videos. I know you've all probably heard it before, but I am genuinely amazed by the response these videos get. It's always very exciting to upload a video and see a flood of thoughtful and positive comments come in. I'm eternally grateful to you all. Alright, so down to business. You might be surprised to see this sort of thing pop up on the channel. I've never made anything candid and direct like this before, but at time of recording, Life of Napoleon episode 20 is the most recent video, and it came out on November 4th. Nearly 2 months later and I'm barely through scripting episode 21, and it doesn't seem right to leave 4,000 people waiting without an explanation. So I have everything I need to do the next episode. The research, the sources, the equipment, the motivation. The only thing I lack is the time. I work full-time 5 to 6 days a week, leaving me only the evenings and the weekends for the channel. Once I factor in time for the little things like eating, sleeping, exercising, chores, all that sort of stuff, that leaves me about 12 hours a week to make videos, which also cuts out most of my leisure time. Now I'm not complaining, this is my choice and I don't mind doing it, but what I'm saying is if I had more time I could make more. Now the only way to get the time to do this would be to work less. That means inevitably that I'll have to make this channel financially viable in order to justify the time I put into it. So far I've viewed the channel as a hobby and made no money from it. To make things work in the future I'll have to start viewing it more as a part-time job. Revenues for most channels come from two places, advertising and donations. As regards advertising, I have the choice to put ads either at the beginning and end of a video or interspersed all throughout. I just presume that most of you are like me and use an ad block, but for those of you who don't, I would hate for a 30-second unskippable ad to come along every 3-4 minutes and interrupt the flow of an entire video. So I make the promise now that I'll only put ads at the beginning and end of the video. If there's any in awkward spots, that's not me. So far as I can tell, creators are meant to have control over where the ads are placed, but this is YouTube, so who knows what might happen. As far as sponsorships, promotions, deals, all that jazz, I'm not really a fan. You won't get any World of Tanks or Raid Shadow Legends shoutouts from me, I make that promise now. The only exception is if it's something I think could potentially be relevant to the content on the channel. I reserve the right to decide what that might be, but audiobooks and vaguely educational things would be the general gist. In terms of content policy, you're probably aware that YouTube flags content as either safe or unsafe for advertising. For our purposes, with educational and history content, these things might include mentions of war, disease, sexual violence, assault, death, politics, etc. If I intend to make more money from advertising, there will therefore be a pressure to not mention potentially advertiser unsafe content. I want you to know that I won't moderate or censor what I write at all. That's not to say I intend to be transgressive or anything like that, but history is history. This stuff happened, and it is only a disservice to everyone to sand away the rough edges of history to make things friendly for big business. YouTube actually so far has been pretty good with permitting videos featuring unsafe content, if it's categorized as educational, which all my videos are, but even so I won't be omitting or censoring anything for the sake of money. That being said, I am aware that some historical content is potentially harmful without providing any educational benefit. A good example of this might be the Haitian Revolution video, which strays into dicey content waters with slavery, hate crimes, and genocide. If you watch that video and you know a little bit about the history of Haiti, you'll know there's a lot I could have talked about but didn't mention. You get the general idea that bad stuff went down without needing an exhaustive list of concrete examples. So when it comes to things like that, if something isn't mentioned or referenced, it's because I felt it gratuitous and unnecessary, not because it's bad for advertisers. The downside of my advertising scruples is that it won't net me very much money. Not unless the channel really explodes, but it's history content, it's not likely to happen. So Patreon is the only real answer I have to this, and I expect it will be the bulk of channel revenue going forward. I've actually already had quite a few of you ask if there's anywhere they can donate. Well, now there is. Alongside this video, my Patreon will go live. At the minute, it's just going to be donations until I figure out what I'm doing with it really. I know it's a very common refrain you hear on podcasts or videos all the time when they say something like, for the cost of a coffee per month, you can help, yada yada yada. but it is very, very true. So if I have provided you any enjoyment or learning over the years, please do consider becoming a patron. Be selfish, of course, look after yourself first, but if you do think you can spare a few dollars, I would be extremely grateful. I would also ask that if you do become a patron, please be patient with me. I don't really know what I'm doing. I know you're meant to make exclusive Patreon stuff and interactive things, but I'm flat out just trying to make anything for the main channel at the moment. In a few months, hopefully I will have enough time to do both main channel and exclusive content, but that won't be for a while yet, so please bear with me. So what does all this look like for you as a viewer of this channel? Really don't expect any change for at least a few months. The process of converting from a hobby to a job is going to take at least that long. From all of you, it will take some patience, but I hope the results will speak for themselves. Better videos more often, and a wider array of topics as well. By default, this is now an English language French history channel. I aim to cover French history from at least the beginning of the Ancien Régime to decolonisation in the 1950s and 60s. For now, that means continuing on with the Napoleon series, which will take us up to St. Helena and a look at the Napoleonic legacy. But I also want to start some new series as well, and for a while now I've wanted to do a series on the 30 Years' War. It's a fascinating period of history that's pretty important for understanding a lot of why the 18th century turns out the way it does, and to do the 30 Years' War justice will require a look at the Protestant Reformation and at least some of the history of the Catholic Church to preface everything. That should all be pretty good fun and not something well covered here on YouTube. Once we're done with the 30 Years' War, I'd like to continue from the 1640s, 1650s with Brandenburg and their evolution into Prussia. From there, I can cover Prussian history potentially as far as German unification. That's going to have a lot of overlap with any of the French stuff, but it would be instructive to see things from a different perspective, I think. As ever, I intend for my focus to be less on military history, which just dominates here on YouTube, and give political, social, and economic history its just due. As you probably all well know by now and can tell from all this, my wheelhouse is European history and more specifically modern European history, so unfortunately I don't think I'm likely to cover Asia or Africa in any great detail, except maybe as they become relevant to whatever we're covering. There's nothing to unpack there, I just don't have the depth of knowledge to do non-Euro history any justice. Even Australian history I'm pretty bad with. Some people have also asked about ancient and medieval history. What I'll say is a definite maybe. Researching for ancient history in particular is very different from modern history, where I have so many primary and secondary sources to choose from. So much is lost or missing from ancient history that theory and supposition has to fill a lot more gaps, and I'm just not super confident in making that sort of guesswork. There's also plenty of classicists and historians of ancient history on YouTube and elsewhere who can do the period the service it deserves. But here and there I can see some ancient or even medieval content popping up on the channel. Beyond the YouTube content, I will continue to post all the videos in audio-only form as podcasts. Right now they're all on Spotify, but I can happily put them up anywhere else if anyone wants. I'll try to use the community post on YouTube a bit more in lieu of a social media presence. I might also occasionally put up polls or Q&A stuff on the community post too, so keep an eye out. I also definitely plan to get a website up so that you can access the maps and some of the pictures that I use. So that about does it. Hopefully within a few months you'll see some positive growth on the channel. Thank you all for watching and for your continued support. It really does mean the world seeing all the positivity and engagement on these videos. Special thanks to those of you who are generous enough to donate or support me in the channel. Every cent will help. Until next time, thank you all,